Is this working? Hello. Somebody's here. I hope nobody shows up. I love you, Stevie. Is this vertical or is it normal, Stevie? I've never gone live straight through YouTube off my computer. DH, I'm glad you're in here, dude. Thank you so much, man. I'm not gonna talk about that publicly unless you want me to. But that was touching to say the least. My whole family knows about it. I made sure everybody saw it and read it. That was more than kind, dude. I appreciate you very much. But anyway, is this just a normal format live stream like I usually do on Sundays? Okay, it is horizontal. Good deal. Like I said, I've never done this. I just opened YouTube and clicked to go live, so um, had no idea how it was going to turn out. Yeah. So I do notice it seems like the video quality is better because like I can see all my wrinkles and it seems like it's in a little higher definition when I go through StreamYard. Maybe not, I don't know. We'll give it a few minutes. Guys, I have some blanks I want to show you guys. So we got Stevie, DH, Bama Ninja. There's a fourth in here that hasn't spoke up yet. So can you put your respirator? It was amazing how quick I got used to that respirator, Stevie. I thought I was going to hate it. But once I realized that I could pull out the bottom to spit in the trash can, that cleared up all my issues. So there's Mark Parks. What's up, buddy? I was in DeMarco briefly, and I thought I had more work left to do than I did, but um, I've still got some steel left to cut and shape, but it's a different batch. I don't even know if I'm going to send all these to heat treat. To be honest, it's quite a few. That heat treat bill would be a little excessive, but I may just bite the bullet and do it. It's almost the first, so I probably will just send them all, get them all heat treated. I just wanted to get some reactions. Maybe even, if you guys have some ideas for something you don't like, man, by all means, tell me. Except for you, Stevie, you're an asshole. I don't want to hear shit out of you. But yeah, if we can get some enough folks in here, I'd love to uh, get y'all's opinions on some things. And there's something I need to explain to you guys as well. So I will say, man, I kind of like this format a little better. Like I can see the chat a little better. I can see how many people are in here. I can see how many likes. I couldn't do that, or at least I didn't know. I didn't know how to on StreamYard, so that's pretty cool. But Todd Carr's here. Todd, you're the only reason I went live, buddy. I finished up, was headed home. I thought, man, I will jump on when I get there because I didn't go live from the shop. There's very few people that I worry about going live while they're live, but I don't step on Stevie's or Maddie's toes. I don't step on Bob DeMarco. Uh, Gosh, to be honest with y'all guys, that's about it. It's not that I dislike any of those other guys. I just I know that a lot of my people are on those live streams, and I feel like it'd be a waste of my time to go live while they're live. But I am kind of liking the randomness lately of these later night lives. Like, man, Stevie's lives from the Honey Bucket are incredible, dude. I absolutely, taking nothing away from said fashion, it's just a little different vibe. And I went to bed last night thinking, dude, Stevie is a middle school hero. That dude is 45 years old and knows nothing but eighth grade humor. And I fucking love it, dude. I am there for it. I hope he continues to do that each week. Him and Maddie already kind of do that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just a different vibe and I enjoy it. So I hope he sticks to it. But yeah, when I do these, I do try to make them a little more knife related. I know my Sunday night live stream has gotten Me and Donnie go way off the tracks, man. We don't talk about knives hardly at all. We try to start, and then we end up arguing over something. But anyway, yes. So Todd, thanks for the idea. I'll be honest, if I knew how to make this vertical, I would have, just because, as I'm not concerned about earning any money off YouTube because there's really nothing to earn. But it's just a matter of pride. I do want to get my monetization back just because I had it and they took it. So yeah, I'd like to get it back. Just a pride thing. But there's only 12 of us in here. I didn't expect to have a whole lot because this is unscheduled. And I think, when you do it through StreamYard and you plan it ahead of time, I think it puts up a notice for you guys so that it's coming. So I'm sure that's a big help. If several hours, or in Javon's case, 3.5 months ahead of time, he's going to be live on Friday night. So that's good. Mark Parks is here. Donnie, drink water. There's Kyle Coonley. Kyle's looking and working. He's working on fixing my fuck up. That's what he's doing. Yeah. I don't think I talk about it enough how big an asset Kyle is to my knife making. And I'm trying with every knife, guys, to reduce the amount of work Kyle is doing. Because I've only been doing this a short amount of time. So, and I've also recently learned that I'm very blind. There were legit things that Kyle was finding that I just didn't see. With my reading glasses, I can see perfectly. So I've started wearing those more at the shop. But it's just something I have to fix. F that, give Kyle more work. Man, you guys don't know how much I appreciate Kyle. And some of you who've bought knives have no idea the difference in quality you received because Kyle laid hands on it. And I am working very hard to fix that. And I'll be honest with you guys and tell you some of the things that I've realized was my issue. I'll just grab any old knife out of here. These are not heat treated. These are not finished. One thing I did, Stevie pointed out to me recently that a knife I sent Snuzz appeared to have some delam, like where there was a gap between the scale and the metal. I don't know how that happened, so I have started drilling way more pass-through holes, if you can see those, for the epoxy to pass from one scale to the other. Used to, it was just the pinholes. But then, in all honesty, guys, there's not much pass-through there because there's a pin in there. So, yeah, I've started doing more pass-through holes to get, a better bite on the scale material. But anyway, back to what Stevie had pointed out. I had a little line where it looked like the scale material was kind of delamming from the handle. Now, guys, I used the same 5-minute epoxy that you see on Forged in Fire and everywhere else. And I clamp my scales on, leave them for a long time. But what worried me was that Stevie said that he didn't see that when he unboxed the knife. And it seemed like it kind of developed. So yeah, more pass-through holes for sure, just to get a stronger bind. And not only that, but something that Kyle pointed out to me, like, right now, this knife is just shaped. There's no bevel. It's got to go to heat treat. This is just one of my plain, I call it the creek bed, just a nice little outdoors drop point knife. It's not tactical or anything like that. Just a good hunting, fishing, camping, whatever type knife. But I wasn't really paying attention to highly refining this part of the knife, the actual borders of the handle. Because I was thinking, well, when I put my scales on, and I have to grind them flat, I can clean it all up then. But, part of that is that, I may have to remove too much scale to fix an imperfection. So the very first thing I do with these when I get them back from heat treat now, a couple of things also. You may notice on some of my knives that there's just kind of a dirty looking area here between where the handle and the ricasso meet. That's not intentional. I don't know if it's I know I've had some instances where the epoxy has oozed out a little bit. I always wipe that, but I've come to realize that 10 minutes later you can go back to the clamp and it has pushed a little more out. So I'm going to start being more cautious of that and checking it, after 10, 15 minutes and re-cleaning. But also a thing I was doing is like when I grind my bevel, of course there's going to be a different finish on that bevel than there is this blank if I leave it like this. Well, then when I put the scale on, you've got either the shiny part of the bevel, even if it's acid washed, that acid wash is going to look different on that ground bevel than it does this stock material steel. So it ends up leaving a different color and a slightly dirty look here. And I've got to fix that. So what I'm getting at, when I get these back from heat treat, even if they are perfectly flat, I'm going to do some, even if they don't need necessarily surface grinding, I want to do some surface finishing to make sure that even the part of the handle you can't see is finished the same as the blade. So I don't have that kind of dirty transition. So, that's another thing that Kyle has been helping me out with. I apologize for the live stream that popped up the other day, said I was going live. I was not going live. I was actually just in a video chat with Kyle, him pointing out some imperfections and things I need to work on. And Kyle is very picky, and I appreciate that, because the pickier Kyle is and the more he points out to me that I need to fix, the better I'm going to get. So that's why you saw that, it was waiting on me to go live. We never intended to go live. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to start making sure that all this is finished before I install the scale. Now, I know I'll still hit it some after that, but I think it'll do away with these little places where, this edge might not be perfect. And when I glue the scale on, even though I run it across the belt grinder, it may leave a tiny hairline gap there where there's just a little indentation or something in the handle. I wasn't thinking about that before. Smooth like a bar of soap, exactly, DH. And that's where I want to be. And like I said, thankfully, and I've got makers like Nani, people like that I can reach out to, that have always been willing to give me tips. But I also like having end users, come back to me, hey man, I got my knife. How about this? Does it hurt my feelings? Well, of course it does a little bit, but I need that in order to know what to work on next, so that I can make that next step in improving. So, hopefully this next batch comes out even better and the one after that even better. I have thought about the fact that people that bought some of my first knives aren't getting as high quality as people who buy knives down the line. And then I realized, man, I can't do anything about that. That's going to happen with any maker. I'm sure if you buy a knife from Donnie Bless or from Aries Knives or Keith the Knife Freak, any of those guys, if you buy a knife from them a year or two from now, it's probably going to be better than a knife you bought today. I'm pretty sure they would all. Gio, you deserve a refund. We'll get into that in a minute. That's fucking hilarious, dude. But yeah, I'm sure it's the same with all makers, and I still hesitate to call myself a maker, but it's only because my refinement's not where I want it to be yet. Like I was a little bit shocked. Just looking at like when I shipped Stevie's knife off, I realized that I had improved since I made that knife because I ground that knife so long ago. It's not saying that it's bad. It's just if I made it today, it would be better. But people like Cheeto bought in very early, and I will never forget that they did that. Let me tell you something, guys. Cheeto did not get a good knife. I'll never forget, man, he didn't message me after he got it, and I knew immediately. Well, I knew when I shipped it, in all honesty, that knife was fucking ugly. I don't think he's ever shown it on Instagram. Even if it was perfect, it was still ugly. I had an idea in my head, and it didn't translate to steel. I was just thinking I want to make something that looks kind of like the Yo Jumbo without that ugly hump. But it's even uglier without the hump, guys. And of course, I changed the handle up, so it wasn't a direct copy. The handle design did not match the blade design at all. Cheeto will be able to rub that thing in my face for years to come. I hope I never make another knife that ugly, but yeah. So I wanted to cover those points, kind of let you guys know where I'm at, and that I am still working on it. And but yeah, this is what I called my creek bed. Now, if you saw Snuzz's creek bed, I did widen the handle up a little bit. I know a bird and trout is supposed to have kind of a skinny handle, but and I may be wrong. It may have been wrong of me to thicken it up a little bit, but I like a little more width in my handles because, guys, I do all my scales fairly thin and fairly flat. I feel like you have the most control of them that way. A big rounded handle feels good, but it doesn't do anything to stop it from twisting in your hand. A thinner, flatter handle gives you much better control. I don't think that's an opinion. I think that's a fact. Stevie, it's an heirloom now. Exactly. So I did add a little more girth to the handle of the creek bed. I may actually do away with the Homestead because this is kind of a morph between both. It's a little better looking blade shape. It's kind of the same handle. It is still a 3/32 blade stock, so it's fairly thin. I wouldn't call it a hard use knife, but 3/32 of Nitro V is still pretty tough. So I've got that. I got several of those made. There's no point in showing you multiples of the same design, but this one I'm especially excited about. This is the Thug. Guys, this is just a little 7-inch. I don't know if you can tell, it's just 7 inches long to make a great little pocket fixie. However, you can see my pinky is on there. So it does have a 4-finger grip as long as you're in that choil. It's not a big, I don't want to say it's not a comfortable 4-foot, but it's a slightly cramped 4-finger grip for me. So for some people to be even better. I haven't even measured that blade. I don't think I have a measuring device anywhere here, to be honest. But I'm guessing that's probably 3.5. Let me find something to compare it to. Some of you may know what a Buck 110 blade length is. So, and it's just laying here. So yeah, almost identical in blade length to a Buck 110. Maybe just a tad more cutting surface. Or maybe not with the clip point. Hard to say. So, like I said, this is the Thug. This design was designed for Miss Iggy at Campfire Leatherworks. She wants to make a neck knife out of it. I may have went a little large for a neck knife. I'm not sure. I did build her one that's hers is just a little more slender than this for her smaller hands. But anyway, after I made it, I really liked it. And this is what I'm hoping I can talk everybody into replacing the Jack Wolf or Joke Wolf with. Because, let me grab it. I want to explain why I really don't want to make any more of those knives. There's an asterisk to that. Hang on. I've got one of the last Joke Wolves here. I'm not selling this knife, guys. I don't know how I did it, but if you'll look, do you see how far down that bevel? You see where that bevel kind of dips down low right here? And if you look at the other side, you can clearly see that it doesn't do that. I don't like that. I noticed a slight variation in my contact wheel that I did this hollow grind on. It's a little higher on one side. So therefore it's leaving a slightly different grind from one side to the other. So I don't want to sell this. And once again, you can see that kind of dirty transition between the handle and the blade. There's even that shiny spot is definitely epoxy. Like I said, I've got fixes for that. But the main thing is, I don't think I put enough passion into this because it wasn't my design. It was a joke. You know, I was copying the Joke Wolf just to show that, you know, you could buy a good American-made knife for way less than what he's selling his Chinese knife for. However, and if you own the Jack Wolf fixed blade, I apologize, but this is a shit design to begin with. This is not a great pocket knife. Guys, there is no, and I mean no transition from handle to blade. This thing is dangerous. If you use this for any more than very light cutting and you slip at all, your finger's going up on that blade. And I know from my experience, Jack Wolfs come very sharp and very thinly ground, which is one of the few positive things I can say about them. That's a horrible design. I really don't want to make any more of these. I've got a couple of these commissioned in K390. However, the people that ordered them, they're not going to be copies of the Jack Wolf by the time I'm done, because they agreed, they want a little bit more blade hanging down so that there is some transition and something to stop their fingers. So it's going to be a slightly different design anyway. DH, you're right. It does kind of, and this one isn't sharpened yet, so it won't shave. But I think I got a little too excited about pissing Ben off, and I made a knife that is that's even inferior to what I would normally do. On the other hand, that was $600 worth of knives that I'm not getting to sell. I'm okay with that because I don't want to deliver that product. And secondly, it just proves to me again that his knives are shit, because it was a bad design to begin with. So, yeah, I've got, I think, 8 of these going to heat treat. I've got another event that I'm scheduled to go to in December. So I've kind of loaded up on knives a little bit. So I'll have some to take there. So let me put these back in the box, see what else I got. I've got some Santoku kitchen knives here. And as you can see, that knife edge is perfectly straight. So these aren't actually ready. I've got a very large French curve I'm going to use to put some belly from one end to the other in this, so that it will rock on a cutting board. So that's not quite ready, but as you can see, that's also 3/32 Nitro V. I wish I could have got a little thinner, but I couldn't find any thinner. All these are spoken for. All the kitchen knives are already spoken for. This is going to have a little taco sheath made for pocket carry. Let me talk about that while I'm at it, guys. My Kydex work, counting the knife, $20 if you don't get a sheath. I highly recommend you get a leather sheath from somebody, man. At least until I get where I need to be with my Kydex. I can't seem to get excited about Kydex, and the learning curve seems to be really steep for me. I'm not progressing the way I wish I was. Guys, we have so many options. We have Terry at 1931 Leatherworks. We have Joe at Lancelot, who's with EDC Roundtable. Those guys, I promise you, can make you a much nicer sheath than what I'm providing. I would much rather you take that $20 that you're saving, not getting a sheath for me, and put that towards getting a quality sheath. Let's see what else we've got here. This knife was commissioned. This one is already spoken for. This one's in M4. This is just a standard little drop point knife. He has this exact knife already, but it's Scandi ground, and the blade is about that long, and the whole knife is much shorter. So he wanted a full 4-finger grip, so I gave him that. And to make it not look funny, I added about a 1/2 inch of blade to it. So this is in 1/8 inch M4. This is for my wife's cousin. He's a very outdoorsy, tactical kind of guy. So, Terry made my sheath for the one of Shane Nippler. That's what you want to call it, Cheeto. I don't care what. I have offered to reimburse him. He'll throw that knife in the garbage because I don't ever want anybody to see it. But I know me talking about it's just going to make more of you guys want to see it. So that was stupid. But anyway, this is just this was a commission piece. So that one's already spoken for. This is another commission piece. Guy sent me a picture of a knife and said, "Can you make me something like this?" It's just a Wharncliffe with a slight harpoon out towards the tip. He wants a heavy rock finish, and this is a local guy. He wanted a large lanyard hole. I mean, man, you could fit your shoestring through that thing. So he's not a steel nerd by any means, so we went with Nitro V. But we're going to distress this one as distressed as we can get it, because that's what he likes. Let's see. There's more of the same. This was actually a mistake in grinding. And when I realized I was doing it, I kept doing it. Guys, that's probably about as close to a clip point as I'm ever going to get. It's still a drop point. I don't know if you'd call it a clip, but it is a steeper. I kind of like it all right. This is just a slight variation on the creek bed. So yeah, I was going to show that to DeMarco. He knows my hatred for Bowies. So that's probably about as close to a Bowie as. Well, that's not true. I've actually got a Bowie coming up that's been commissioned by somebody, but only making that because he asked for it. And, guys, there's several of the same knives, that I'm making to take to that show. Well, then, of course, I dropped them. I'm trying to see. And then I've got one last. This is a knife I showed online before. This is another M4 Goon that after I showed it, I laid it here on my table and I forgot about it. So this knife never went off to heat treat. The Goons are sold out, so I'm at least going to have this one more ready within the next couple of weeks. If it doesn't sell here local, that's fine, because I sold a couple of these at the last show in Tennessee. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to have another one to take. And I think that's about it. This was a local order. Guy just wanted a straight edge cleaver, and I asked him if he wanted a big, thick actual cleaver, like for breaking bone. And he was like, "No, I just want it to cut my steaks with, so I feel like a Viking." So, this thing should be super slicey. That's 2 inches of 3/32 I've got to put a flat grind on, all the way up to the hip spine. So that should be a very slicey, full grown ass man steak knife. That's what he asked for. So yeah, there's actually 25 blanks in that box I'm about to send off to heat treat. Empty. Is that my knife? No, empty. I need to get with you because I'm not, and that might be my fault that I'm not 100% positive on which design you wanted. I thought about you the other night, and I was just thinking it was just the standard drop point. I don't have. So get with me on Instagram so we can make sure. And dude, if you want to draw something up, if you have an idea or a picture of a knife, I won't copy it exactly, but if you have an idea of something that you really want and haven't been able to find empty, I'd be glad to, to make that however you want it, man. I get way more excited about making something for somebody who knows exactly what they want versus me just making a knife and hoping that it sells. For those of you who haven't seen it, I want to show you another model I've got. You've probably all seen it, to be honest, but it is still available for order. This was the Heathen. This one's in Nitro V. This is 1/8 inch steel. This is a much heavier duty knife. It's not going to be. I mean, it's full flat ground, so it's as good a slicer as 1/8 inch stock can be. This is a pretty knife, but I've got 2 of these left, and I've already sold them. But the lady wanted different colored grips, so I don't have an issue at all. I'm going to strip these scales off and rescale them for her. But guys, I have 2 pieces of M4 big enough to make 2 of these. So I'm probably going to have 2 M4 Heathens coming. It's looking like I may in the very near future cut back on the Nitro V that I'm doing, except in kitchen knives. I still think it's my best bet for kitchen knives. That, or I've thought about switching to S90V on the kitchen knives, but having to go up. But right now M4 is my main high end steel. However, I can make you almost any knife that I've designed or any knife design that you have, if you want it in crew wear, K390, whatever. Now I'll tell you, uh, Paul Mills and uh, I'm not going to mention the other guy because I try to be careful of that. I don't know if he wants it mentioned, but somebody else in the community got together because they both wanted a K390 knife, heat treated by Brian Kim. So they went in and bought the K390. So, um, however, with K390, it's very limited on the thicknesses you can get. It's the same reason why I haven't been buying very much or haven't bought any 14C. I've had a lot of people ask about 14C. The 14C is also very limited. It's weird how, say, Nitro V, I can get in 5 different thicknesses. But across those 5 different thicknesses, I can get them all 1.5 by a 1.5 wide at a 3-foot long bar or a 4-foot long bar. Where with the 14C, it's like, well, if you want this thickness, it's going to be 4 inches wide and 11 inches long. It's just, it jumps around very much and it makes it hard for me to buy it because I'm sitting there thinking, well, how am I going to make multiple knives out of this piece because they cut it funny. DH, you just contact me on Instagram. I'd be glad. Kyle has my phone number if you want my personal phone number, however you want to do that. Because I tried to look you up on Instagram. I couldn't find it DH anyway, but yeah. Kyle, you're here. DH has permission to get my phone number if he needs it. But yeah, Nitro V is a good kitchen steel. It's thin enough where you can stand that edge back up on a knife steel if you need to. But if you guys want something in a particular steel, I'll tell you right now, Rex 121. I've looked. I think Paul Mills has done some searching. Some people are saying it's coming. Nobody's been able to deliver yet, though. Nitro V and ABL is more prominent than 14C as to where it's made and cost of shipping it from overseas. Yeah, probably so. The prices, 14C and ABL are both cheaper than Nitro V. And I'll tell you why I picked Nitro V. Everybody says they're the same. They perform really close to the same. The formulas are close to the same. But ABL is more prone to warpage. And I tend to make thinner stuff out of Nitro V. And I'm scared to go with ABL because I don't want a big kitchen knife that's even more prone to warp. I don't want it warping. So I went with Nitro V instead of ABL. Drop point would be good, or Heathen, orange handle. I remember you wanted orange handle and green pins. I can get right on. MT, if you want one of those in M4, it's going to be slightly more expensive in M4, but get with me and we'll talk about a price. I'd be like, I can literally make that tomorrow and have it in with this shipment for heat treat. The only reason I didn't cut that M4 up is I knew if I cut it and I shape it, and then I talked about that I had some M4, somebody would want something other than what I cut. So I would much rather use that M4 for a couple of knives that people reached out and said, hey, this is what I want. And yeah, that'd be awesome. Pops Knife Shop. Yeah, Pops is where I buy my Nitro V. I get my M4 from Alpha Knife Supply. This hasn't gone public yet, but I know of a maker who recently had I'll get to that question in a minute, Knife Nut, who recently had a couple of knives ordered in Magna Cut, and the customer's complaining that they're rusting in the sheath. And there's no doubt in my mind it's not Magna Cut. The guy bought Magna Cut. The company he bought it from says the guy's a liar or the maker used the wrong steel. I know neither one of those are the case. But in case any of you guys remember, the only reason I'm bringing this up, I'm not trying to start any drama about Magna Cut. There's just no doubt in my mind somebody with a paint pen marked the wrong piece of steel. That can happen. Everybody here who's worked a job full time has made a mistake at some point in the past. It's just shitty that the supplier, won't do anything about it. But anyway, but if you guys remember a few years ago, there was a fairly big knife maker. At first, I was thinking it was Hogue, but I'm not positive about that. But somebody sold like hundreds of knives and then realized, somehow found out, or a customer found out, that the steel wasn't as labeled. And I remember the video where the guy was discussing it. He was standing in a warehouse by pallets of steel, talking about that the steel had been mislabeled from the distributor. Do any of you guys remember who that was? And it was supposed to be 20 CV, and it was S35. It was something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I definitely remember that happening within the past couple of years. And the company took care of it, but I can't remember who it was. But anyway, do I have a carbide hammer? No, I don't have a carbide hammer as of yet. I did build a device to go in my large vise for straightening. I haven't really had to do any. Brian checks for straightness after he heat treats them. I know they can warp when grinding, but I've laid everything I've got on a true piece of marble. I haven't had the issue yet. Donnie's telling me I'm super lucky. He said he sees a warpage in a lot of steel. I don't know how I've got that lucky. I'm not, going back and forth, grinding on one side, then the other, then back. I just grind one side, then grind the other. Unless there's a minute amount after I grind one side, and it's so minute that I grind it out when I do the other. I don't know. I haven't had an issue with a warp blade yet. Maybe I've just been lucky. So I probably do need to get a carbide hammer. I've had to straighten a couple of pieces before heat treat that weren't exactly flat with my little vise device. But how about Alabama Damascus? I'll say this. Brad is a good guy. That is an old-fashioned, salt of the earth knife shop. I have seen, when I went to visit him, he picked up just a random blade. Literally, there were blades. Guys, there's blades everywhere in that building. They have no organization. He picked up just a random blade, sharpened it, hammered it through a 16-penny nail. It didn't even scratch the oxidization, where they dipped it to make the Damascus show up. No edge damage at all. Now, his knives are ground a little thicker than some, not as thick as others, but what I would consider a little bit on the thicker side. I wouldn't have an issue with using them, but I think it's a great steel. I'm not, if I ever get to a point where I'm having knives water jetted, it will be by Alabama Damascus. I'm not going to let him grind them, though. Brad doesn't do the grinding. The guy that does the grinding is a super, super good dude, redneck guy that his son works there. But they're just, they're still stuck in the old ways. They're just not as picky as I'd want them to be as far as the grinds. Billy at Apex Alchemy had him grind some. I think out of the 20 or 25 knives he had done, 8 of them were bad. He's since then sent those to Satu Dave to have fixed. This is another thing I want to tell you guys about, and I hope having a high hollow from Satu Dave on one of my knives is an option. It is going to cost more. There's going to be a significant markup to have Satu Dave hollow grind it, just because of the logistics, the shipping back and forth. Dave will get paid. He's been hesitant to take money from people in the past, but for right now, that's what Dave wants to do. It's just some grinding. He doesn't want to make knives yet. So if you want a high hollow from Satu Dave on one of my knives, that is possible. It costs a little money because Billy and I have talked about it. We're not going to allow Dave to continue working for free, and he's okay with that at this point. Yeah, it is weird that I'm not having to squint to read the chat, man. I can read it perfectly. This is kind of awesome. Yeah, I think my pride and hanging on to my youth kind of kept me from wanting to do this before. But guys, I'm at a point where I don't care. My teeth are falling out of my head. What difference is a pair of glasses going to make? I imagine within the next 6 months, I'm going to be missing a top front tooth and more after that. That's all part of, guys, if you walk around fat and diabetic like I did for so long, uh, one of the first two things it kills is the blood vessels in your eyes, hence my sight loss, and the blood vessels in your jaw. So, I even told my dentist, I was like, man, this is my fault. I've been dipping. He's like, as much as I'd like to blame it on the dipping, wouldn't have made a difference. You're going to lose your teeth anyway. So, yeah, that's embarrassing to talk about, but it's something we're going to have to deal with here pretty soon. So, I prefer Appalachian American. Yeah. But yeah, Alabama Damascus is great. You can get a nice made, good heat treat, nice ground knife from there. However, if I were to do that, I'd want to drive there and pick it out myself, just because there is some variations. If you guys see how they do their hollow grinds, it's literally. I don't know if I have another dip can here. That's not a dip can, but that'll work. It's a very cool setup, and I think it could be more precise. I think I could build something in a day to make it better, but it's two hollow grind wheels. They're the same size, and they're running the same grip belt. They have they have one motor that is spinning them both at opposing directions, and they're set up where they're almost touching. So all they do is they take that knife, and while it's running, they jam it up in there and draw it out. They jam it up in there and draw it out. So it is grinding the hollows on both sides at the same time. Guys, back when everything was hollow ground, that's how they did all these knives. That's how they do it in China. They don't grind one side then the other. They stick it up between two wheels and pull it out. That's great as long as he's holding that knife perfectly level every pass. And he's over 50%. He may even be 75%, but it's that 25% of knives that come out with a different hollow on this side than on this side. That's why I say again, if I were to allow them to do a hollow grind, which I'm not, but if I were to allow them to do that, I would have to be there and only take the blades that I approved of. However, their hollows are also very shallow like mine. I think I can fix the issue with mine by replacing my contact wheel, but it's still so shallow that I don't really want to do it. I want to do hollows, and when I get a larger wheel, I will. But for right now, if you want a high hollow grind, I can make that happen by one of the best hollow grinders in the business. And I don't know if that would mean anything to you, but then you would have a knife made by me, heat treated by Brian Kim, ground by Satu Dave. Even take me out of the equation, and that's a pretty badass combination. You know what I mean? Just saying, man, I got something heat treated by Brian and ground by Dave. How many people have that? So, nothing wrong with Brian's grinds. It's just the accessibility of that. Brian's is a little bit more difficult to get your hands on. I'm closer to 50 Free Willy. I know what you're talking about, Bama. I'm closer to 50 Free Willy. Okay. Oh, that's the conversation between Knife Nut and Bama. How about Hillbilly? You actually have to be from the hills to be a hillbilly, though. Mine is ground thin. Yeah. Donnie's a ground thin. I've been carrying a knife in Alabama Damascus for 6 years. Holds up great. Yeah. That's definitely tough. I wasn't that aware of 15N20. I think that's the main steel in his Damascus till I realized, that saw blades are made out of it. And it's definitely, if I was going to run a a high carbon steel, it would be 15N20, unless I decided that I wanted the toughest steel I could get my hands on. And in my opinion, 8670 probably outbalances that by just a little bit. Now, of course, with that you lose something, but yeah, 15N20 or 8670 probably be what I would go with if I was building a big, tough, bushcraft or survival type knife. As thin as you're grinding those blades, a hollow would be cool, but I imagine you end up with a thicker stock on the. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, a hollow is always going to be thicker at the spine, but because I'll tell you on my flat grinds, guys, I'm not going past the spine, and that's what I mean. I grind up to the spine. As you can see, for this one, you might be able to tell where it has just barely hit up here. There's a slight finish. Well, maybe not on this one. Yeah, I just go, as soon as I hit the spine, I adjust my angle a little bit to back off that spine. So as far as I know, this is as thin as you can grind a piece of 1/8" steel, because it touches the spine, and then it went to about, on these I went to about 15 thou behind the edge. To some people that's not super thin. However, this is a harder use. This is actually my tactical design, but so I didn't want it 6 thou behind the edge. I wanted it to be a little tougher. I wanted you to be able to pry a crate open with it or whatever. But yeah, but I mean, if it's 1.5 inches tall and it's 8-inch thick, and you go from the spine to whatever your center line is, it can't be any thinner behind the edge than that, than going thinner, than making that thickness less. So yeah. Lung bone? What is a lung bone, Stevie? But that's another thing that I'm working on, guys, is I kind of had a guy get on to me about all my knives, the scale being straight across the Ricasso, and he's right. They do look better when they're angled. So yeah. And this one doesn't have that dart you can see is actually, it's hard to tell, but this has a purple liner. And that's the liner coming through some, but it still could have been better. Yeah, there is a little bit of epoxy there. Like I said, I've got a fix for that. I'm going to start being way more. I'm going to handle it instead of just globbing it on there. I'm going to start handling it more like I'm painting, to be more precise with that. What's this lung bone thing? Is that something I'm unprivy to? I remember, what was it, Maddie? The term Maddie coined, it was a throat giggle. Yeah. I'll be happy when you take the red line off your scales. That's funny. That was actually that guy. Jonah Harris is a local knife maker. He's a hobbyist, but he's been doing it his whole life, and he makes it is more, it is older steels, but he leans more towards the refinement and the pretty side of things. And he's the one that got on to me about, my knife scale just terminating in a straight line. So when he was trying to show me what he meant, he drew in the picture, he drew a red line, with Google Paint or whatever, to show me where he was talking about. And when I sent Kyle that picture, he's like, "Why is that red line there?" And he's been fucking with me about it ever since. So, Lungbone is Broke Ass Knives merch line. That's a pretty cool ass name, dude. Lungbone. I like that. Yeah. But the red line does not exist, so don't listen to Kyle. But, yeah, we got 19 folks in here. That's not too bad considering it was unplanned. However, we don't have the random funny that comes from all the non-knife people showing up like they did in the Honey Bucket Live the other night. It was pretty funny. And Stevie missed my joke. That one guy who kept asking him personal questions. I don't know why, when I saw his name, the first thing that crossed my mind was the Pythagorean theory, whatever it is that those fucking weirdo Tool fans say that he uses to write his music. Pythagorean. I had to check that out, Cole. I didn't know you had a merch line called Lungbone, but I'm very anxious to see what you've included in that merch line. I'm hoping it's, dude, if you could do some like rest in peace Carl coasters with that picture, that would be pretty awesome. Probably sell a couple of those, maybe even a T-shirt or two. If you haven't thought about that. Just so that you guys know, Stevie won that battle. I posted that. I did not do the artwork, of course. I've probably already said too much, but I had that done by somebody, and he did an excellent job. If he wants to speak up now, he's more than welcome to. But I'm not going to say it. But I was very proud of coming up with that idea. And then Stevie acted like he was mad at me. And by 9:00 that night, had me a nervous wreck that I had offended him and made him mad. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He he toyed me along for a few hours, and Stevie knows me well enough that I would have lost sleep over it. So he finally told me he was just fucking with me. But Cheeto knows I'm telling the truth, because I messaged Cheeto to ask him if he thought Stevie was actually mad at me. Yeah, it was Patina Turner for sure. I'm pretty sure he was getting fucked by a doorknob while it happened. Yeah. It was Patina. If he wants to keep his mouth shut. Stevie, even if the joke was on you, even if the joke was on me, it's always great that even at the cost of being the butt of the joke, it's great to see the community have that much fun with it, man. We all know you love Carl. We all know you didn't harm him, but it has been a lot of fun giving you shit about it. Ugh. It's about the angle of the dangle. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I'd probably be willing to buy a Said Stevie Honey Bucket t-shirt too. I mean, I'm sure somebody could snatch that image off of his video. Yeah, I'd be interested in that. So somebody put that on their merch line. I'd be actually mad if it wasn't funny. Well, congratulations, because you sucked all the fun out of it for me. You sure did. And I'm embarrassed that I let you do that. But I'm also a little bit mad because I knew that you know how sensitive I am. You knew you'd be able to do that. You knew as soon as you started it that I was going to suffer because of it, and I did. But I appreciate you letting me off the hook. He even called me a pussy. Oh, man. That's funny stuff. But just a pre-warning, guys. I'm not going to stay on here long. I wasn't even planning on doing this. And Todd Carr asked if I was going live, and that kind of got it on my mind. I wanted to show y'all some of what I'd done there. Like I said, there's 25 pieces down there. They're all just multiples of the same stuff for now. But I'd really like to make, and that was the plan for that M4, was to make a couple of higher end heathens out of it. So hopefully one of those is empties. And if somebody else would like one, if you like that design, I want something better than Nitro V, that is currently available. I'll be honest with you guys, that was the knife I was the most excited about. I'd really like to do a lot of those, even though it's more work than some of my other knives. I just got in a new tool and some new abrasives for it. I'm trying to up my choil game, I guess you could say. It's a trademark brand name. It would have to be a Honey Bucket derivative. So it couldn't be in the picture at all. I mean, that would just be advertising for Honey Bucket. You could put under it, in quotations, I only shit in Honey Bucket outhouses. Anyway, Because you guys know Stevie. He acts like he hadn't, but y'all know he's shit in that honey bucket before. I couldn't resist. I would have had to call it the chum bucket. Oh, me. I am confused why everybody hates the vertical live so much. Think about it this way, guys. If you're putting up with some randos coming into chat who actually add some humor sometimes, and if it's doing positive things for your favorite creator's channel, why would you complain about that? You know, if Stevie's going to make videos, anybody that says that denies this is a liar. If you put out a video, you're happier if it got 100 views than you are if it got 20. So, you know, let them improve their channel a little bit. You know, stop bitching about the verticals. It's not that big a deal. I don't go vertical for that reason. Now, since I've started getting some traction off of it, I continue to go vertical for that reason. But I started just because that was the only way I can mount my phone to shop. But I just hate the fact that some creators probably aren't doing it because they've seen you guys complaining about it so much, but you're still there. You still go watch it. You know, yeah, man, there's nothing wrong with these guys getting more in return for what they're making. Yeah, Steve, you're 100% right. You know, I got Empty and DH both didn't come from vertical lives, but they came because I was somewhere outside this community. I mean, anytime you can add a viewer and a friend and, you know, somebody, you know, that you can talk to, there's nothing at all wrong with that, man. Nothing at all. You know, that Corvette guy, 76, there's a couple of folks from my vertical lives that have started showing up to all of them. Like I said, I would have done this one vertical live if I knew how to do that from the computer, and it's probably possible. I just didn't know how. But yeah, some of my favorite things are vertical. Yeah, yeah. Vertical sucks. Shut up again. Well, Kyle, you say everything sucks, so your opinion really doesn't hold the weight that it used to. You complained about too much, buddy. And now I'm getting hearts. See, I tell you you're wrong, and I've got like 15 hearts since then. So apparently people agree. There's only 22 people in here. Oh, Cole got you good the other night, dude. I even messaged him. It was like, bravo, you got him. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what he said to you, but I'll turn this goddamn bus around. Go ahead, fucker. We don't care. Hey, we were all randoms at one point. That's exactly right. Now, you know, with the influx of more people like that, is that increasing our odds of getting a scammer? Absolutely. But let me tell you something, guys. I think we kind of have learned our lesson. From what I've seen, it has gotten better. If you want to be kind to somebody and help a guy out or gift a guy something, man, do it to somebody that's been in the community a long time. There's plenty of guys out there that would be very appreciative of things like that. Everybody has a different budget. They all live under a different economy. You know, these guys that have been around 2 or 3 months, I'm not saying don't, but just be more cautious of it, you know, and keep this in mind too. If you're going to give something away, if you're truly doing that out of a giving spirit, what they do with it really is none of your business. Could it hurt your feelings? Sure, it could, but it shouldn't, because if you gave it away under the right pretenses, you wouldn't care. Now, when it gets to a point to where they're being dishonest and scamming, you know, like, I hate to bring him up again, but like Tim was, that's different. I'm just saying, be careful with that, because guys, Tim's probably in here right now, you know, or maybe not right now, but he's in the community somewhere. You know, I've had guys question me about newer people. Do you think it's Tim? I'm like, no, but I'm not sweating it right now, you know, but it doesn't hurt to ask, man. You can ask around, be like, hey, this guy asked me for this knife. You know, first off, they ask you to give it to them. That's a red flag right off the bat. But communicate with people, man. There's discords. There, you know, you can reach people on Instagram. Find out if this is an ongoing thing. Because another thing is, if he asks you for a knife and 2 or 3 other guys for a knife, even if it's not Tim, Even if he's not a scammer, uh, you need to break that cycle because they're doing it because it works. And I'm not talking about breaking that cycle for your good or the community's good. I'm talking about for that guy's good because he's not being much of a man. So you know, we got to cut that out. If you want to give to people you truly know. And this is another thing. If you get an address and it's in Wisconsin, not speaking bad against everybody from Wisconsin, but if you don't know the guy 100% is from Wisconsin, that highly raises the chances that it's Tim. So feel free to reach out to me if you want, and we'll try to compare addresses and things like that. So Maddie asked for it. Well, we've all known Maddie's a piece of crap. We've just put up with it all these years. Yeah, anyone asking is sus. If they just come right out and ask, I've had a couple of guys request things that I'm not gonna get into that. But as a man, dude, y'all don't be asking people for shit. You know, do we know Maddie? Not really. Wouldn't be hard for with AI the way it is these days. Of course, I can't imagine somebody saying "make me look like this" and coming up with Maddie as their look. I don't even know if AI is that imaginative. Damn cheeseheads. I'm not speaking out against cheeseheads. I'm just saying. 2 or 3 times, people have come to me sniffing Tim out. And I'm like, are they from Wisconsin? And they're like, yeah. And it ended up being Tim. So I'm just saying that's a red flag. Not against people of Wisconsin, but that's the first sign that it might be Tim. So be careful. Dang sconies. Yeah. Because is it Cole from up around that area? Cole, are you from Wisconsin or who is it? No, it's Terry. That's Wisconsin or Minnesota or somewhere like that. Wisconsin don't know nice Alabama's Americans. Yes, yeah. But hey, DH, now that I know you're from California, man, California catches a lot of shit. But what people don't realize is all the exposure California is getting is the negative side. That is the most beautiful state in the country. California has some of the most beautiful locations, things that seem otherworldly at times when you visit them. Are there pockets of crazy people? Sure, there's a lot of them, but they're centrally located. Like where I was at in Northern California, up around Lemoore, nothing pretty in Lemoore. Now you're 2 hours from everything beautiful, but uh, man, those were just farmers. They were as redneck as anybody I ever met from Alabama. So Terry is Arizona, Cole is Michigan. Okay, I was thinking we had somebody from either Minnesota or Wisconsin. Oh yeah, and I think he turned out to be a piece of crap too. What was his name, Stevie? Uh, the one that started with the Nazi stuff. He was either from Wisconsin or Minnesota. What was that guy's name? I want to say it wrong because there's 2 channel names that sound a lot alike. Kyle is his dad in Texas. Well, Cole. Never mind. Not going to go there. Not going to do it again, Kyle. That guy's from Kansas. Was it? It's something budget, wasn't it? Budget EDC guy, or I can't remember. I can't keep them. My dad's further south than hell. I wasn't going to say it, Kyle, but yeah, Cole. Kyle's dad passed away, so shame on you. I hope you feel horrible about yourself. Only thing we have is beautiful scenery and weather. Yeah, and women. And I don't know if it's still that way, but guys, I visited all of California, and Visalia, California, by far had the highest concentration and highest percentage of beautiful girls to guys of any place I visited in California. Like, just a normal looking dude could go to Visalia, California, and you had your pick. Like you could pick which beautiful chick you wanted because they outnumbered the men so badly, and a lot of the men there were migrant workers. A lot of them didn't speak English, so there was that language barrier. But Visalia rocked, man. I told myself a long time ago if I moved to California when I was young, if I was ever going to stay in California, I wanted to stay in Visalia. I used to tell people all the time that's where those onions come from. That's Vidalia onions, not Visalia. Yeah, Visalia has a lot of Mexicans, tons of fruit. You're right, DH. But in 1990, we would go cruise Visalia, and it would be like 10 cars with 4 or 5 beautiful 18, 19-year-old girls in them to every one car with a couple of dudes in it. Like you could just ride up and down the street, hollering out windows and pick. You could just pick. Walla walla onions, rice and rain. Visalia onions are awesome. I'm working in the South Bay in Cali now, and this place is pretty fucking nice. Too bad about all the traffic. Yeah, I went to LA once. LA is one of those towns where there are some beautiful women, but they're most of them are gold diggers, and most of them are so fake that it's even in 1990 it was that way. But I'm just talking about guys. I'm from Alabama. I'd never experienced Portuguese. I didn't even know Portugal existed. I didn't know what Portuguese girls were. And when I try to explain it to people, if I'm not mistaken, I think the beauty of the Portuguese women is what translated to the beauty of the Brazilian women. You know, all bubble butts, all dark hair, dark skin, but more Caucasian facial features. Just gorgeous, gorgeous girls. What the fuck is a Portuguese? It's a Portuguese. But out there, that's where I learned Portuguese. They wouldn't say they were Portuguese. They said they were Portuguese. That's pretty much any major city. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But you know, and I think being in the military helped because a lot of those girls wanted out of there so bad. You know, they knew they could latch on to some military guy, mess around, get knocked up, and get to move the hell out of there. You leaned? What do you mean I leaned? Tina Stevie's mad at you for making that graphic of dead Carl. Portuguese. I know that, but I'm telling you, they would talk about each other, and they'd be like, I got this friend, she's Portuguese. Now, maybe it was just they had an accent, so they said it a little different than we were, but they said Portuguese. Or maybe they just talked a little faster, and they didn't emphasize the ch. Traffic sucks in the Bay. It's when I don't go there. Yeah. Fastest I've ever gone on a motor vehicle was on I-5 south of Hanford, California. I went and test rode a brand new 1990 Yamaha FZ 1100, and it was regulated at 186. I hit 165 and let off. I've never been more scared in my life. I never want to go that fast on a motorcycle. And I literally went that fast for long enough that I looked down, I saw it tap 165, and I immediately let off the throttle. The phone poles, the power poles are just going. It was not for me. Did you think they were from Alabama? Y'all make fun all you want. That's how they said it. They'd be like, yeah, she's Portuguese. I refuse to believe it's Patina. Steve, it's still not as funny as Patina in his busted ass pirate boat. That will forever be my favorite graphic ever made. Dude, you have no idea how much happiness I got out of that because I got that artwork days before my live stream, and every time I looked at it, I giggled. I could not wait to post that on my live stream. That was so funny. Just because his hatred for Pete runs so deep. Oh my God, I loved it. One of my favorite moments. Whoever did it, it was genius. I laughed my ass off. Yeah. Well, the idea was mine. I just messaged the guys like, "Hey, can you put Carl's face on Jack Nicholson's frozen body in The Shining?" And man, they fucking nailed it. It looked so natural. It's true. It was especially funny that you weren't offended by the fact that we used Speedy Gonzalez to represent you. That was pretty epic. Me too, Mark. I haven't been down here for years, but I relocated jobs. Oh, sir. Cheeto, I didn't even know you were in California. Maybe I did and forgot. But you've moved? You're not where you used to be in California? CHP. Dude, I got lucky, DH. I had a CHP catch me just north of Bakersfield. I had a Mitsubishi Turbo. And he was, I don't know if you remember him, dude, in like 1990. They had these badass notchback Mustang GTs that were jet black, limo tinted windows. It had like 1-inch letters right underneath the driver's window. It said California Highway Patrol. The lights were hidden in the grill. From 100 feet away, you'd never know it was a cop car. Dude, he run up on me, pulled me over, and he said, "Do you have any idea how fast you were going?" And I was like, "No, sir." Of course I did. He was like, "I've been running 150 miles an hour for 11 miles trying to catch up to you." And I noticed he had a USMC tattoo on his forearm. So I handed him my driver's license and my military ID. And he wrote the ticket for 85 because he said the only reason he did that was he didn't want to go to court and listen to me lie about it because he didn't have radar. But he knew I was running well over 100. That ticket still cost me in 1990. That ticket cost me $386 because that's back. I'm pretty sure the speed limit was, they had reduced it to 55 at the time. And he also told me, he's like, "The only reason I noticed you is you never got out of the left lane." He's like, "You've been in the left lane for like 40 miles. I was just blowing past everybody. But I was headed to LA, one of the 2 times I went to LA. And both times were not great experiences. But yeah, that 6 hour, isn't it 6 hours from Lemoore to LA? I think that's right. Bakersfield's the premier destination for locally sourced artisan meth. Dude, all I remember, I don't know if I just didn't go to the right parts of Bakersfield, but like passing through on I-5, it looked like a ghost town. Like everything was dirty. Like everything was literally coated in a layer of fine, silty dust. And it looked tiny. So I'm sure I was just, from that off ramp, I couldn't see all of Bakersfield, but it looked abandoned. I had no interest in, so I've never experienced Bakersfield. Yeah, 6 hours. That's right. 6 hours was a long drive for me back then. Dude, I'd never driven more than 15 minutes in my life before I went in the military. Buck Owens Town, that's right. And that's where Dwight Yoakam lived with Buck Owens in Bakersfield. Run the streets of Bakersfield. That's right. I sang Dixie. That's a good song. I never got to see Dwight Yoakam live, and I still regret it. I worked a town called Arvin next to Bakersfield. It's the town for the field workers. You want to talk about a shanty town, places wild. That's what Bakersfield looked like to me from the, I mean, it looked like an old Western ghost town. Everything was just dirt. It was just everything was dirt brown. Like it didn't look like you could see through any of the windows. I don't know what exit it was. I'm sure that's not. I'm sure that's not a true representation of all of Bakersfield, but that's all I could see. My favorite place in California by far, though, me and Patina have talked about several times, is that bridge in Kings County. I don't remember the name of it now, but man, that was the most epic place. There are probably more beautiful tourist places in the Sierras, but that place, because very few people, if anybody, know about it, and it's so hard to access. But like, we would park on this bridge. There's pictures of it on the internet. We would park on this bridge, and it's a it's not Kings River. I know that it's got a different name, but it leads into Kings River. We would park on this bridge that spanned this huge, deep gap where the river runs through, and there was a historic marker there. So we got off and read it. We could hear water flowing, and up above us, up in the trees, was a flume. So we climbed up there. We'd never seen a water flume. Had no idea what it was for or anything. And it had 2x6s on top of it. So we walked it. We walked that flume up until for a good long while. When we got up there, there was an old power generating water wheel. And the flume, where the water came off the water wheel, fed fresh snow melt to, I can't remember which town it is. It may be Visalia or Fresno, but I don't remember. But anyway, it fed this fresh snow melt. You talk about the most delicious water you've ever drank, man. It is ice cold in the middle of the summer. Anyway, we got up there and we realized that river fed into this. They had dammed it up. It wasn't very large, maybe an acre size body of water. It was very deep, and the current would turn that power wheel that they hadn't used in forever. But we swam out there and found where the water fed into it and just started hiking up it. It might not have been a mile, but it was such treacherous climbing and jumping from one rock to another, with a 80-foot drop underneath you. It was very narrow. We actually had to come back and bring ropes to make sure we didn't die and stuff. But, we were all young and very fit. So it was a lot of fun. And then we found this place. It looked like a beach. It was just sand, this sandy beach on another body of water that was part of that same creek. And the water was coming out of the mouth of this huge cave. The cave opening was probably 30 feet tall, 40 feet wide. And you could hear the water falling inside it. Well, one of the guys went around up on top of it and found a crack that was above the cave. I'll never forget, his name was Ken Newhard. Ken wasn't scared of shit. We hadn't swam in that. We had no idea how deep it was, but he knew if this waterfall had been there for millions of years, it had to be deep. So he jumped. And I don't know how to figure that, but they said they thought it was between 60 and 80 feet drop. Hit the water, so then we all had to do it. But on the way down, you're falling like feet. Just, you could stick your arm out if you could control your body that well and hit the waterfall. And yeah, man, we used to take Portuguese girls up there camping all the time. I don't like Tina, but my kids do. Oh, shit. Found crack in the cave, yeah. They're called aqueducts. Also, flumes are smaller. Okay, I got you. Well, this thing was probably 3, maybe 4 foot wide. It was just a half pipe, and water was running down it. That picture of the bridge, it looks like it's been removed because they cleared a lot of the brush and small trees. A fire probably did, but they cleared all out off that hillside. And the picture that I can find on the internet, I can't see the aqueduct anymore. But when we were there in 1990, the old cable car, there's about 20 feet out from the bridge, still spanned that gorge. Everybody crossed the gorge in the cable car with me. I was not having it. I was scared to death. I got in it and went part way and came back. But apparently it was where the workers, when they were building the bridge, would use that cable car to span, stuff from one side to the other. It's called storm ditches around here. Well, this was an actual pipe, like cut in half, and it had like 2 2x6s for a walkway on top of it. Oh, Cheeto said, I don't like it, Tina, but my kids do. I said, I don't like Tina, but my kids do. Oh, Bakersfield's armpit. Like I said, I didn't experience Bakersfield that much, but my least favorite place in California was Fresno. Just because every time I went to Fresno, there was always some 160-pound Latino kid that wanted to fight me just because I was big. Kyle, that is high HRC M4. Yeah, so I know when I sharpened some, even on that Work Sharp electric sharpener, it took forever. I'm sure that's why you're saying, what the fuck is this? Yeah. I think it's 65 HRC M4. If Jeffrey Dawson dulls that knife, I want to know what he did to dull it. Did Leo DiCaprio live there and have good weed source? Man, I have no idea. Sierras are awesome. I just drove through the backside of Whitney. Never got to see that area yet. Yeah, we drove up. I know if you keep going, if you cross that bridge and you keep following that mountain road all the way to the top, you can get to the redwoods. So, yeah, Kyle got his work ahead of him on that one. I hope I ground it thin enough. I mean, that knife typically I would intend on being super thin, but did I pre-bevel that one, Kyle? Or did I just send it to you? Because if I just send it to you, that's a pretty asshole move. It wouldn't be bad bevel. That is an asshole move, dude. I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad, dude. I beveled the other one, didn't I? I think I beveled Gratian's, but maybe not that one. Damn, what a buddy you got, Kyle. Well, I'll be honest, Bettina. The reason why I've not done all of them, especially like these, when I go to sharpen this side on that Work Sharp electric sharpener, when I put it in, I can't see where the belt is contacted because this is against that stop. So I can't see exactly where the belt starts contacting it. So I've made a couple of mistakes. I don't know if this is one of them, but yeah, like you can see right there where I let the belt hit that. It's because I can't see it when I put it in there. So I've been a little bit hesitant of using that thing very much. I think they're great for sharpening a work knife, something you're going to take out in the field or out in the yard, whatever to use. But I agree. I wouldn't sharpen something high end on them. It's just way too easy. It takes a half a second to mess something up. I don't know how bad it looks if it's not too low and at least has one. Grinding in bevel with stones. Have you tried flipping the Work Sharp upside down? I have not, Patina. Does that make a difference? I mean, I'd be willing to try that. I don't know. I can't picture in my mind what difference it would make. I'm elbow deep in this M4. But I'll make sure to, especially if turning it upside down does help, because I'll take any advice on that thing I can get, because I do want to at least put a primary bevel on it. Oh, because I use my belt grinder like that. Yeah. I think I'm at a point now that I could probably turn that thing around. And I may, just because I got metal dust in my neck. I do. And I may because, running it backwards helped me get started, but it also throws that metal dust straight up and it ends up caked on my head. So I was looking the other day and I've actually got metal dust in my pores. I used a scrub brush on my head, but it still didn't come out. But I think I could probably turn it around now. I think I've got the feel enough that I could run it the correct direction and be okay. And the Ken Onion or one of those other ones, it may be the the design of it may be different where I can't actually see it. But I'm not bad mouthing Worksharp, dude, because Worksharp was very good to me. You know, I reached out to them about that show I was going to, and told them I was doing I was asked to do a knife sharpening demonstration, and I'm not a professional sharpener. Even if I was, I couldn't teach those people how to hand sharpen a knife in 30 minutes anyway. And it worked out great because everybody that showed up was like, I literally throw knives away when they get dull because I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I I can I can show you how and let you sharpen this knife and it'll shave hair when you're done in about 10 minutes. It was mostly women uh, that showed up, and I was letting them take turns with it. And sure enough, you know, within 5-10 minutes, and it was one of my thinner ground knives, so it was fairly easy. And I told them that, you know, they do something thicker, it'll take a little longer. But, you know, they all got, one of them was their own knife. You know, they got them razor sharp. Uh, if I had had a code, like an affiliate link with Worksharp, I probably would have done well with it because none of those people were sticker people, but they took the stickers with them just so that when they got home, they wouldn't forget the name of the company. Like they'd never heard of Worksharp. They took tons of stickers so that when they got home, they'd know what to order. They were amazed that with no talent. Now, was it a perfect edge? Probably not. But even still, with no talent, they were getting knives shaving sharp. So that was pretty cool. Because that one lady was like, well, what about, you know, my pattern? I was like, look, I don't care if you go straight back and forth, if you sweep, if you go in circles. And she did all of it, dude. She just jig jags. And she even ran it like straight back and forth up and down the bevel. She tried all the directions. And within a couple of minutes, she had a burr, flipped it over, got a burr. We stropped it up, and it shaved hair off my arm. So it really is kind of foolproof now. Could a professional sharpener look at it and be like, you know, man, these scratch patterns not even? But of course. But yeah, Zach stuff. Who's your buddy at Worksharp? Because I can't remember who it was I talked to when I requested the stuff, but I wanted to talk to him again and thank him and tell him how well it went. But I can't get him to call me back now. That's my only complaint with Worksharp is if anybody's ever called there and they answered the phone, let me know because I don't think that's a real thing. I think you pretty much have to leave a voice message and they get back to you if they feel like it. But um, and I understand why that is the way it is. But man, that's an automatic 2-point loss on customer service if I can't call and get somebody on the phone. And that's not saying they have poor customer service. I'm sure they take care of their customers just fine. I've never heard anything bad, but if I can't call, even if I have to go through some stupid prompt system, um, you know, if I get that same recording every time, I get a little bit frustrated. But at least they're not like AT&T. They don't make you spend 15 minutes listening to a robot and hitting buttons. It's just there's a couple of choices. You hit it, it rings like 3 times, goes to voicemail. But I'm pretty sure Zach is buddies with somebody there, aren't you, Zach? I can't remember his name. I saved the email information. It's just, I think it was at info@worksharp.com. But I remembered his name for a little while, and I can't remember it now. But he was very helpful. I just don't have his name. Kyle. It might have been Kyle. I'm not sure. Shane got his number blocked because he kept calling to tell them glory stories of him and me. I got you covered, AG American. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, they were very cool, though. They sent me well over $100 worth of stuff to give away. And literally, that guy, when he won that precision adjust, man, he tucked that thing under his arm and bolted out the door. He was gone. He won that sharpening system. He got the hell out of there. He even told me, he's like, because I think they just called it sharpening for beginners. He was like, man, that's the main reason I came here. He's like, I never thought I'd spend 20 minutes and be able to sharpen a knife when I left. And I was like, well, thanks to Worksharp, you can. But you're right. You know, my wife gives me a hard time because of me and Meathead constantly reminiscing our glory days. But that's just what we do, man. We got away with a lot of shit, had a lot of fun when we were young, and now we're old, washed up outlaws. So that's all we can do is talk about how good we used to be. Sitting here with my glasses on. Yeah, that's wear glasses too. He's blind as a bat. I think he's been blind for a long time though. Oh. Well, guys, it's 12:30 here. I'm gonna jump off here, and because like I said, this was unplanned, but I appreciate you guys showing up, man. It's been fun, and you know, anybody needing to want to order a knife or whatever, hit me up on Instagram. DH, if you're still here, like I said, Kyle has my permission to give you my phone number. However you like to communicate, man, it's up to you. I'm not I dox myself all the time. I don't get it. If somebody wants to come to my house and kill me, they're just gonna, you know. There's old Javon right there. I didn't know you was here, Javon. Good seeing you, buddy. I need to get up to Huntsville soon, man. My truck's got a little transmission issue. I mean, it may last years like that, but I don't want to push it till I'm at a point where it goes out and I'm not prepared to fix it. So I've been refraining from trips for the most part. Anyway, well, all right, guys. 1-800-FREE-LIVE. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. And later, Edgy. Thanks. Yeah, you too, DH. I got to quit reading chat so I can get out of here. Love y'all. Appreciate any amount of time you spend with me. Come back and see me. Have a good night.